This is Pastor Steve. It is June the 7th, 2021, and I'm here with another edition of your Monday Minute. We're going to have a little bit of a different format with the Monday Minute for this summer, and especially with some new things that we're doing here in terms of our announcements with worship. I'm only going to mention a couple of things that are coming up this Sunday, as a matter of fact. First, the rummage sale that's going to begin set up this Sunday on June the 13th. We encourage you to help out with that and with setup all throughout the week. And also to remind you to come and join us at 11:30 on Sunday following the worship service as we celebrate Reverend Gassaway's ordination together. All of our other things can be found on our events page, going to newburgumc.org/events. We hope that you will check that out. Now, Reverend Gassaway and myself, along with others, were just a part of our Michigan annual conference this past weekend. This is the normal time when we would gather and we would do not only the business of the conference, but also the things that we have become accustomed to, such as Reverend Gassaway's ordination itself. But it was, again, a little bit different this year with it being all virtual, as we are still coming out of the pandemic and plans had to be made, and we're still under some capacity restrictions here. It was a little bit more normal than it was from a year ago, which shows how much that we have learned. But it also was a reminder of how much that we still miss by not being in person together, as well as the importance of continuing to take care of one another during this time. Now, as a part of the conference, we dealt with a lot of business, and among the things that we discussed and we adopted, which I'm particularly proud of, is one, a renewal of our covenant partnership with the Liberia Annual Conference. We affirmed our bishop's anti-bias, anti-racism working group, and also we approved funding for training for clergy that is going to happen over the next quadrennia when it comes to anti-bias and anti-racism, and we hope that that will bear much fruit for all of us. We adopted a statement that is included now in our annual conference structure that is similar to Newburg's welcoming statement, affirming that we are non-discriminatory towards all people, including LGBTQ persons, as well as a host of others as well. We adopted a resolution calling upon Christians like myself and all of you to stand up to so-called Christian nationalism and the destruction that can have for our global mission, and to help to remind us that all of us, no matter where we are in the world, not just in this country, are part of God's kingdom, and we need to continue to focus on that. We also created a working group to reduce the number of districts again, and we updated our parsonage guidelines to include a 2-week transition period for churches and for pastors going through a change of appointment. Something we've done in practice, but now we have codified into our system. We worshiped together, we prayed together, we celebrated together, and we lamented the losses we've experienced this past year together. And we ended with a renewed call to live into the newness of this moment in singing to the Lord a new song, which was our theme for the entire week. And now, while it was good to be a part of this, and I took some time myself to have a little fun with this, especially being at home for annual conference, by taking little jabs at the lunch service, which was all on me and usually were my leftovers. I took some time through social media to introduce my dog and this pesky chipmunk as special guests to the annual conference. And we, of course, had a little bit of fun filling out our annual conference bingo card. So there was still, in many ways, a sense of how we were together, even though we were apart. But we also had something that we were missing and longing for, both as laity and clergy. We were getting to more real life, but we're still not there yet, and that was noticeable as well. Next year, we hope to be in a very different place. There were also some very serious discussions when it came to our finances at the annual conference, where in Michigan, we're seeing a reflection of what is also going on here at Newburg. The conference has seen a 30% reduction in giving to ministry shares, and even more so in our pension funding for our pastors and clergy. We here at Newburg are experiencing the same thing. Our giving is behind from even where we were a year ago at the height of the pandemic when it first had happened. We're behind by $10,000, and we are $45,000 behind where we typically have been moving into June. Now, friends, I do not say this lightly. We have some work to do this summer. As we continue to look at opening back up, as we reopen for in-person worship, and as we start to return to, as we have termed it, real life here at the church. Expenses that we were able to defer last year because we were not gathering together and meeting in person are going to become a reality once again, in addition to the ministry that we are hoping to share with our community as we emerge from this pandemic. Not only do we need to support our ministry shares, but if we do not increase our pace of giving, we will have to actually make some very hard decisions when it comes to our ministry and to our staff coming into the fall. The annual conference has already made a reduction in their ministry staff, and we could be faced with the same thing. I don't want this to happen here. I don't want it happening at our conference level either. Now, one thing I have repeatedly said throughout my years here at Newburg is that this church, Newburg Church, always comes through. And I believe that we can do so again. But we need to now more than ever. Even more so than last year, believe it or not. Your tithes and your offerings are what make ministry possible. Just as our ministry shares to the annual conference make it possible for ministry nationally and around the globe. This month of June, we need to finish with a strong month so we can finish with a second quarter on a strong note. And I pray that we will all find a way for us to come through once again. Now, perhaps the best news of this annual conference, besides Reverend Gassaway's delayed ordination, which is coming up this week, was the bishop's announcement on the final day of our conference this past Saturday of the birth of his new grandchild. It couldn't have come at a more worse time for him, but in the same token, it couldn't have come at a better time as we concluded our conference. It was a reminder of a new life continuing to come forth. It was a reminder of a new generation, and it calls all of us to continue to witness to our faith in these new times ahead, knowing the responsibility that we have for that new generation that is coming up now. So as we go into this month of June, my prayer is that we all might be renewed, that we all might recognize the new possibilities that await us as we come out of this pandemic. And I pray that we will redouble our efforts to support those ministries and allow Newburg to be the church that welcomes and affirms all people and to be a true beacon of the inclusivity of Jesus in our community. So may we all do this together as we follow that great commission of Jesus and make disciples of all people, of all nations. And I know that together we will meet this challenge because, as I've said before, Newburg Church, this annual conference, the United Methodists in Michigan, always come through. May you have a blessed week, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here next time for another edition of the Monday Minute.